What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since I made a video, but I was moving over the last month or so, and I've been just working and doing all the do, so I haven't really been able to make any videos and been getting everything set up over here. So now I got everything set up, and maybe I can make some more videos again. Plus, in the crypto space, it's been a little bit of a bloodbath in the past month. I think the entire market, no matter whether it's been crypto or whether we're talking about the equities markets, it's been pretty bad. Stocks have been going down for the past month and a half or so, and crypto's been going down for about the past 2 months. But that's one of the reasons why I'm making this video, because we're going to talk about certain things, certain levels, and certain things we should be looking for over the next few weeks when we're talking about crypto, and specifically when we're talking about Ethereum. We'll talk about a little bit of Mana. Might make another video for Mana. But first of all, I always want to bring you guys over to our Etsy channel here, over on SNL Essentials on Etsy here. You can find our store where we sell all kinds of things, from crypto sweaters and gear to all kinds of artsy designs. So there's lots of things there. Check us out. If you have some time, want to support the channel, feel free to head over there. And yeah, thank you for taking the time to look at that. And here we'll talk about some crypto prices and what we should be looking for on these levels. So when we look at crypto, specifically when we're talking about Ethereum over the past few months, and I made a video back in December, and I talked about these levels, and I kind of warned you guys that if we weren't going to see 3,800 hold up, 3,800 was kind of the level Canadian when we're talking about Ethereum. That was really the big price level. And you can see back here, that was the resistance level previously. Back in the end of summer, we had like a big run, and that was kind of the top range. And then after we had a breakout from that level over kind of the fall of 2022 last year, what we saw was that resistance level 3,800 that played so strongly in this run up became the support level. So once it broke above 3,800 Canadian, 3,800 then became the support level, right? We saw that here when it tried to dip, it was getting bought up around that 3,800 level, right? So right around here we saw kind of that breakout attempt to break out to 5,000, which was the previous top put in back here, which is around 5,300. So that was the previous all-time high before it broke that, obviously, in the fall. But if you go back all the way until the spring of last year, what you'll see is this kind of big move that we had up to 5,000 was just basically a pump and dump. It flew all the way up and then just came all the way right back down to that same level around 3,000, right? And that's a very important level, which is why we're kind of having so much trouble, or I should say so much problem to the downside breaking below that level. It's kind of just been holding along that level for the past few weeks. But you'll realize that prior to this big breakout, that was kind of the major support level. And if you go back to all time, you'll see that after it came up to that level initially, 25, and then it broke out, that kind of 25 to 3,000 then became the new support level. So what we're finding now is that if you look at the overall chart for Ethereum, if you go back and look at the all-time chart like you're seeing here, what you're going to see is an ascending line that just kind of connects all of these points, right? So you have this ascending wedge that is always attempting to move the price higher. Now, I'm not trying to say by making this that it's going to follow this wedge and that it's going to continue higher like it did every time it's kind of bounced down, hits this ascending pattern, this ascending line, and then makes another move to the upside, right? So this is what you want to kind of look out for when you're watching these levels, is is it going to react, and are we going to have big moves off of these levels? Because almost every time when we've come down to this ascending line, we've had kind of these explosive moves, right? Obviously, at this point, you had a more explosive move without coming down to the line, but at the same time, you're still seeing every time it following the same pattern. Now, the idea here is that obviously, if the market continues to be a bear market for the next few weeks, and there's a lot of selling pressure that kind of is able to push below these levels, this 35 or 3200 down towards the 2800, and then 2500 being the absolute kind of support level. If we can't hold those levels, we might even see this go back down towards, the 1500 that we saw last January, right? And it's funny because those are the levels that I was buying at and that I'm initially an investor at, right? So what we're seeing right now is a test of these support levels. So these are very important levels, this 3200 all the way down, give or take 10-15% below this level. This is a really interesting level. And now, obviously, if you look at the past month, it dipped below this level all the way back down to that almost that 2500 level, that 2730, and then it got the support, right? Then you had that immediate bounce, and now you're seeing it ascend to the upside. So this is a test of that support level. Obviously 3000 failed and it broke down, but as soon as it broke down below 3000, you had an immediate snap, and now you've had the ascending move to the upside. And if you look down at the buying levels here, you'll see that currently the activity is 75% to the buy side on Ethereum, and that's something that's been different than the past few weeks. Is we've had pretty much all imbalances to the sell side. Right now we're starting to see this 75% activity to the buy side. So these are interesting things and things to be aware of when you're watching the price action and kind of being aware of these levels, right? Especially if you're somebody that's never bought Ethereum, or you've always been sitting on the sideline and now you're really curious about these things. Well, obviously these are going to be important things to talk about. So you want to be aware of these levels and you want to kind of be active around them, but also knowing that it's good to buy these dips into these support levels and then kind of add in as they move higher, knowing that the support held, but also kind of take profits as well if we're still unsure whether this is going to be an actual holding support and whether now we're going to maybe be flipping to a bull market, or whether this is just like a dead cat bounce before a move lower in a bear market. We'll see. And the overall equities markets are going to, so if the S&P and the NASDAQ, if they're not going to be moving downward, so if they're going to also find support, which they seem to be doing, and we're going to kind of have an overall market switch to a bull market, or at least not a severe bear market, then we'll see some support, and these moves you'll see ascending patterns to the upside, right? So that's kind of what we're seeing now. If you look at like the overall price action on Ethereum, is kind of found support at 25. Now you're having those ascending moves to the upside, right? And I think that as long as, like I said, we can hold above 2750 here, this level, then we're pretty much solid for kind of Ethereum now turning to a bull, having a little bit of a bull run, maybe going back testing those levels like 4,000 and 5,000, right? So that's my thoughts on Ethereum. One of the things about Ethereum that's been weighing it down for the past couple of days or last week has been the idea that Russia might be banning crypto, and this is something that I think is a misperception, at least when it comes to Ethereum, and it's because the founder of Ethereum is someone who comes from Russia and someone who is very much backed by a lot of these, like Putin and a lot of people in Russia were very much supportive of the development of Ethereum. So, this guy Vitalik Buterin, he's from Russia, and his kind of development of Ethereum was somewhat done with support from the Russian government. So that's something to be aware of. A lot of times when when they're saying they're going to ban crypto, I think a lot of times what they're talking about is banning Bitcoin, because Bitcoin doesn't really want to work with other governments or other currencies. Something that Ethereum doesn't have that same kind of hesitation. It actually wants to work with people. It actually it gets more exposure. It gets more usage by more people using it rather than less people. Bitcoin's something that is kind of deflationary, or something that is made to keep safe from inflation and to keep it safe from corruption or any sort of government interference. But at the same time, governments are what kind of fuel our economies, and that's why something that doesn't want to work with them is something that a lot of these financial institutions are hesitant to back. And this is something that I don't think Ethereum has the same kind of hesitation, or at least has a willingness to work with banks and a willingness to kind of back a lot of these financial currencies, or work with them, exchange them, just basically be a go-between and allow for a transfer of currency or of goods throughout the Ethereum network without necessarily taking away from the US dollar or the American dollar or whatever, or the Chinese yen or the Russian ruble or whatever, right? Or the Russian currency. I'm not sure, not the ruble, but I don't know what I forget what it's called. I think the ruble's India. I'm not sure. Anyway, so the idea here is the fact that these kind of myths that come out about Russia or China banning crypto, and they have done these things to limit mining, and certainly have done things in that sense, but I think Ethereum is something that isn't necessarily lumped in with just all cryptos, and it's not something that they're going to ban like they might a Bitcoin, right? So that's just something to be aware of. But anyway, that's my thoughts on Ethereum, and that's my thoughts for this video. So like I said, right now we're coming into support levels. If you guys are aware that this kind of buy up here in this 2750 level is all the way back, the support that we've seen all the way back on this after these first breakout levels, and the resistance that we were seeing on the initial bull run we had at the beginning of last year, right? So now we're back into those levels from last year. We've erased an entire year of gains, but this is why Ethereum is such an amazing thing, because we've had these runs where it's doubled in almost a couple weeks, right? And we can see these same moves, especially now that we've come into these levels. But these are the levels you want to be buying at, and be aware that if it dips below, or if it starts to look like it might reverse, you can get out without losing a lot, and then be able to buy the dip if you still are interested in buying. But you don't necessarily want to be holding it if it's just going to reverse and break down below these levels, right? So that's what you want to be aware of. That's what you want to look out for in Ethereum in the next week or so. And yeah, I'm going to probably make another video about Mana, but that is my video to talk about Ethereum. So yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for watching. Have a good day, and talk to you again soon.